Okay, I'm going to look at this graph, and I notice that this is a bar graph. It has two bars for a bunch of different data sets. But I'm going to look specifically, before I even look at the bars, is I want to look at the title, so it tells me what this whole thing's about. And the title of this is always at the top. It's Athletes in the Summer Olympics. So I know that all the data in here is going to talk about the Summer Olympics and relating to the number of athletes. The second thing I'm going to look at are the two variables. Okay, year is our independent variable because it's coming across the x-axis. And the number of athletes is our dependent variable because it's on our y-axis. So we're going to be comparing years with the number of athletes that there were that performed in the Summer Olympics. I also noticed that the years are counting by fours because the Summer Olympics happen every 4 years. So they started in 1992 and they go up to 2012. And I noticed that based off of the numbers that are on the graph. And then the left side, they're counting by thousands. I noticed there are two bars for every year, and then I look at my key, and the key tells me that's because they're comparing males and females. The blue bars are males, and the red bars are females. So I can kind of see that the males, for the most part, pretty much stay the same, maybe decreased a little bit over the years. And the red, the females, have seemed to increase somewhat steadily over the course of the years that they were collecting data for the Olympics. Okay, so I looked at the graph, I read the information. Now I'm going to go ahead and look at the questions and figure out what information I need to pull from it. So how many more female athletes participated in the 2012 Summer Olympics than in the 1992 Summer Olympics? So just looking at that question, I'm going to go ahead and underline female athletes, and I'm going to circle 2012 and 1992. I'm focusing on the female athletes in those 2 years. And I know the female athletes, because of what I looked at before, are the red bars. So I'm specifically going to look at the red bar for 2012, and then I'm going to look at the red bar for 1992. And I'm focusing my information to answer this question on those two bars. Notice there's a lot more information in this bar graph, but those are the only two pieces of information I will need to answer this question. So it's really important to do some underlining and circling or focusing on what the question is actually asking when you do these kinds of problems. So I'm going to look at these numbers, and I'm going to find out how many more, I'm going to do subtract. I'm going to do the opposite of when it's asking how many more. That's actually a keyword for subtraction. A lot of people will think of more, and they think that's adding, but because we're asking how many more, we're actually going to undo it by subtracting. So I'm going to take 4,835. I'm going to subtract the 2,704. Now, where am I getting these numbers from? Well, they're right at the top of the bars. If they weren't there, I would have to physically look across and kind of draw an imaginary line over to the left side and kind of guesstimate as to what it would be. So I know it's between 4,000 and 5,000, closer to 5,000. I would have to estimate that if the number wasn't there. Same thing for the 1992. I'd have to draw a line over from the top of the bar to the left axis so that I can estimate where it is. When the numbers are there, though, I'm going to use the numbers that are present. So 5 minus 4 is 1, 3 minus 0 is 3, 8 minus 7 is 1, and 4 minus 2 is 2. So my answer is 2,131 more female athletes. Again, I still want to make sure that I'm labeling my answer. Okay, if I want to be more specific, I could say more female athletes in 2012 than 1992, to be even more specific. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and erase what I drew in here so that I have a clean graph. And then I'm going to go ahead and read the next question. Describe the relationship between the number of athletes in 2000 Summer Olympics and the number of athletes in the 2004 Summer Olympics. So if I look at this, I know that I'm looking at the number of athletes, and I'm comparing 2000 with 2004. Am I looking at specifically blue or red? Not necessarily, but I am looking at these specific years. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the 2000 bars and the 2004 bars, and I'm circling them on the graph so I know where to focus. If I look at just these two, what could I compare? How could I describe a relationship? Well, if I looked at the two bars, I noticed that In 2000, they had 6,582 males, and in 2004, they had 6,296 males. Well, I know that that is a slight decrease compared to the years, so I could actually subtract to find the exact number of decrease of males, or I could describe the relationship by simply saying that the number of male athletes in 2004 is less than in 2000. The number of male athletes in 2004 is less than 2000. Okay? I also could look at the red bars. And when I compare those red bars, what do we notice? Well, in 2000 we have 4,069 females, and in 2004 we had 4,329 females, which means that we have more females in 2004 than 2000. So I could say the number of female athletes in 2004 is more than 2000. And again, I could calculate the exact number by simply subtracting and writing that in there. I also could add the totals up. Okay? And so I could add the totals up and compare the total number of athletes if I would like to as well. When it's asking you to describe the relationship, as long as you're looking at the right information and the right years, any description would work. Okay, so graphs can give you a lot of information, but you have to pull out what you need.